Hello, Homestead. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for a moment of silence.
From Homestead Media, this is HHS In Depth.
Today is Friday, December 15th, and welcome back to HHS In Depth. Let's start with a quick rundown of today's show. First up, reporter Graham DeWitt sits down with Principal Mrs. Summers for our annual end of the semester report. Next, I will bring you a story about the school's new design and the safety adjustments that come with it. Next, Sophia Virgilio will inform you about an option open to all students who qualify, early graduation. Later, Elena Baker goes over a few final tips that will be helpful going into next week. Finally, Grace Dickmeyer shows you how our basketball players give back to the community by helping with our future Spartans. Mara Nicholson brings you update on the weather and what you can expect going into next week. And Carly Swimler fills us in on athletics this past week in Down to the Wire. All of this and more today on the final episode of HHS In Depth for Semester 1. Hello Spartans, welcome to HHS In Depth. I'm Morgan Gillette.
And I'm Sophia Virgilio. And Morgan, how are you feeling about the holidays coming up?
I am super excited, looking forward to seeing friends and family. How about you?
Me too, but we have to get through finals first. I wonder what the weather's going to be like next week.
Well, let's send it over to Mara Nicholson to tell us what it will look like as we close out this semester.
That's right, Morgan and Sophia. As you're walking out of school today, you can expect temps in the high 40s. But you might want to wear a pair of sunglasses since the sun will be shining all day long. This past week was beautiful, but will the warm temps continue until the first official day of winter? I'll be back later in the show to let you know.
Thanks, Mara. Well, I'm hopeful we will see some snow this winter, but it doesn't look like we're quite there yet.
Be sure to stick around as Mara will be back later in the show to update us about the weekend and next school week's weather.
HHS In Depth, National News.
Switching now to national news. Earlier this week, the Air Force was forced to discipline 15 of its members in relation to a violation of national security, classified intelligence being leaked online, and the lack of preventative measures that should have taken place but did not. Airman Jack Teixeira leaked classified documents on a Discord server, taking pictures of some and taking the time to type out others. Disciplinary action traveled up the chain of command as he never should have had access to those documents in private. And when caught, the correct response was not issued. His suspicious behavior was allowed to continue for many months. In other news, inflation should be slowing down as we head into 2024. The Federal Reserve will keep its interest rate steady, as discussed in a meeting a couple of days ago. Some economists predict that the Fed will begin cutting interest rates in early 2024, but Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is keeping his lips sealed so as not to raise false hope. However, he did remark that stable prices of consumer goods raised only 2.5% in the past 6 months, not too far off from the ideal national inflation rate of 2% yearly.
Thank you, Sophie, for the national news update. Well, it's become a tradition that every year on our final episode of HHS In Depth for the semester, we sit down with our principal to get an update on the status of Homestead.
HHS In Depth reporter Graham DeWitt joins us now with a discussion with Mrs. Summers over topics ranging from our first semester to how to prepare for finals week next week.
With only a week left in the semester, it's hard not to think of what has been accomplished this year. In our annual end of the semester sit down with Mrs. Summers, she reflects on what Homestead has been able to do so far this year. Each year at the end of the semester, we sit down with you to recap what's happened. Can you talk about some of the positives that have happened this semester specifically?
We've had a lot of successes in the classroom, on the athletic fields, and also with our performing arts. Homestead had an amazing number of students that were named to various honors. We had our girls cross country team win the first ever for Homestead state championship, and 2 young men earn a state championship in doubles tennis. The amazing Spartan Alliance band was 5th in state. I also feel like it's just been a good year in terms of students continuing with getting back on track.
Another thing Mrs. Summers is proud of is how Homestead has worked towards becoming a more inclusive and welcoming environment, which was one of the biggest goals for this year.
Acting with integrity, honesty, and kindness has been our guiding force. 18 of our students were part of the FAIR conversations to provide input and feedback into ways we can make Homestead be as inclusive as possible. We have great plans for Black History Month. We are going to have all of the classrooms have presentations related to the content area that's being taught in that classroom. In addition, HHS In Depth is going to have some special programming throughout the month, and also we're going to utilize The Point, which is our student-run radio station. So we're looking forward to all of those opportunities in the month of February.
I know that all students are looking forward to that 2-week break to decompress. What would be your advice to the students for both during break and for when they come back to school in January?
I hope for every student during break that they get to sleep in. And then when you do get up, do the things that you really enjoy, that you don't have time for during the school day, and spend time with the people you love. And be very present in those moments. When you come back to school, celebrate the things you did really well. And then set goals for what you want to do second semester, and be really specific with those goals. It's not just, I'm going to make all A's this semester. What do you have to do so that happens? Make that your goal.
As important as this semester has been, the next one will be just as crucial. Remember, it's up to you to make it a good one. Reporting for HHS In Depth, I'm Graham DeWitt.
Thanks for the story, Graham. Stay with us. We'll be right back on HHS In Depth.
Want to know more about how our basketball team is getting involved in the future of the program? I'll catch you up later on.
Welcome back to HHS In Depth.
The Spartana is hosting its annual Eliminate Illiteracy Drive from December 1st to January 31st. This is a great opportunity to earn Key Club or NHS hours. For a list of items to donate, instructions on how to receive hours, and drop-off locations, find a poster placed outside of the school or check your email.
Seniors, the yearbook is now accepting applications for senior quotes. Just as they did last year, seniors have the option to pick a quote or song title to include with their portrait. The Google form to submit requests is in your inbox. If you wish to have a request considered, forms must be submitted by Wednesday, February 14th. If you have any questions, please email Mrs. Barrett at the email address shown here.
The club, once called Students Against Drunk Driving, has changed its name to Students Against Destructive Decisions. Come out to witness the impactful changes they've embraced, and don't miss a chance to be a leader. Ignite your passion and run for the many new positions to make a difference in our school community. Here's more information about it.
So I'm just a member right now, although we are looking for new members. I think there's new roles coming up, like secretary, treasurer, more standard roles, but I know president is already covered, so maybe some more roles coming up in the future. It's a super welcoming club, so the president, Gabby, she's only a freshman this year, but she's super sweet. So it's super welcoming for all new members, even if it's halfway through the year or in the last semester. It's a really fun club. It's an easy way to get involved, but it's also not too much to manage. I think it's a good mix of volunteer hours, but it's also not too much pressure. If you have too much schoolwork going on, you can kind of take a break and kind of lay back, but you can also get more involved if you'd like.
Homestead is starting to look very different now with all the new construction. One thing many kids have noticed is the new design and the amount of glass and open space it has, which raises the question, how will this affect safety protocols and procedures?
The design was intended to bring more light into the school. That's why in some of the original areas of the building, in the original two-story, you now have windows that open up into the new wing of the building. And then you've got all the skylights, the lights in the roof that allow more light in. And then of course you've got glass throughout, allowing greater visibility and more light to bounce through the different spaces. There's a sense that it's more like a university space, how much less institutional it is, how much more color there is, or feels like a professional learning area than maybe a traditional high school. But the new classrooms are big, they're well lit, there's plenty of great technology in those spaces.
While the new parts of the school are made to look aesthetically pleasing to students, it also possesses safety features in case of an emergency.
The current design provides for better line of sight, and it also allows for greater supervision. There are also some safety things built into the new building that you haven't seen yet or haven't experienced. There's gates that come down that separate the building into separate pieces so that we should be able to bring the gate down and the students on the north side are then safe and we can get them out. So there are some things that you haven't necessarily seen yet that are going to help us as well.
It's exciting to see the construction progress and to hear about the safety features within the designs.
Thank you for the story, Morgan. Not only is this our last show of the semester, but it is also our last show ever, as we are both graduating early.
That's right, Sophia. It's a bittersweet feeling, but I'm happy to be finishing my high school and HHS in-depth career with you.
Me too. At Homestead, you have the opportunity to graduate early if you have earned enough credits by the end of your junior year. Although some graduate after 6 semesters, it is more common for students to graduate after 7. I asked a few students who are also graduating early why they decided to finish high school sooner than normal.
I'm looking forward to working more hours when the next semester comes and having more time with my friends who are also graduating early and my friends that have already graduated.
During the second semester, I will be going off to MEPS, which is it's in Indianapolis, and it's kind of like a physical. That's something that I get to do to see if I'm qualified to actually go into the Air Force. And after that, I get to go on base and practice and see how that would be.
I'm probably gonna get a second job. I think I'm gonna start being a CNA and work, save money so that I can start at IU in the fall.
Every early graduate has their own reason for finishing up early. If you think finishing high school early would benefit you, talk to your counselor to see if you have enough credits. However, fair warning, you'll probably have to take 2 English classes the first semester of your senior year.
Thank you for the story, Sophia. We're down to 1 week left until winter break, but next week is a stressful one for students.
Reporter Elena Baker joins us now with some tips to help those students who may be taking finals at Homestead for the first time, but also a reminder to those of us who have already been through it.
Because finals are approaching, student stress and anxiety levels tend to escalate. In light of this, Principal Summers has offered us some great advice to help us study for our upcoming finals.
The first being to put away all of your distractions, such as games, your phone, or more. Be sure to get good sleep each school night, as it has been proven that less sleep means a lower grade. Start a steady sleep schedule now before the finals week approaches. And lastly, be sure to limit your intake of caffeine, as this can affect your test-taking skills. When researchers assessed students' sleeping habits leading up to an exam, they discovered that those who slept longer and enjoyed better sleep quality in the week and month beforehand got better grades. In fact, researchers estimate that better sleep accounts for nearly 25% of the difference in academic performance between those who do great on their finals and those who do not do as well. And now, here are some tips for studying so that you can achieve and perform best on your tests. The first is to be sure to plan ahead of time. Going along with that, study early and use time management skills to help you get through your planning. Leave more time for your harder classes. The more time you spend on harder topics, the more it'll be engraved in your brain for the test. Look through your old work from the semester and study what you know will be on the test first. Similarly, don't miss out on the opportunity to use all of your resources, such as a study guide, digital review, quiz, or even a practice test. Keep all of your options open for the most optimal study methods. If it works for you, study in a group. Other helpful ideas and opinions could be beneficial for you to remember and learn things you may have forgotten. And lastly, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what the teachers are there for.
As you prepare for next week, make sure to take into account Principal Summers' helpful words. Good luck on your finals next week. Reporting for HHS In Depth, I'm Elena Baker.
Thank you, Elena, for those helpful final tips. Well, Homestead's basketball teams are in full swing on the court, but even on their time off, they're giving back by spending time with young Spartans on Sundays.
In now is HHS In-Depth reporter Grace Dickmeyer to tell you more about the Future Spartans Basketball League and the Spartans who are helping out.
Our basketball players here at Homestead volunteer for the Youth Spartans League. The Future Spartans is a league where kids learn cooperation and teamwork to prepare them for their Homestead basketball careers.
Spartans Youth has loads of potential for our future basketball teams. Our current Spartan players are assisting in the future of these young Spartans' careers by helping out at their games.
The league, we had a group of tryouts a couple weeks ago, and we picked and we kind of divvied out the teams evenly, so every team had like a couple really good players and then some players that were maybe new to basketball.
The Spartans look forward to each Sunday because they have a way to interact with SAC's younger students.
It's just a way to get younger kids involved in Homestead basketball, and it gives them an opportunity to kind of play for some of the coaches that they'll play for in high school.
The players are not obligated to help, yet their hopeful spirits for the future of the team are an encouraging factor.
For Future Spartans, I grew up in these camps. Like, I grew up playing in like the Homestead basketball camps with the Homestead girls. So like I always knew like that was something I wanted to do, was help the younger girls when I got to be that age. So then when our coach asked us to do it, it was like definitely something I wanted to do and definitely something I wanted to pursue.
The players enjoy their time working and appreciate the positive atmosphere.
You get to do it with your teammates, and it's very low pressure because it's just like the younger kids that we ref for, and it's just a nice way to earn extra money.
It looks like our basketball program is set for the future, and hopefully more state championships will come into our possession. Reporting for HHS In Depth, I'm Grace Dickmeyer.
Don't go anywhere. HHS In Depth will return after this.
It was a big weekend on the hardwood for our basketball teams last weekend, and the girls and boys went a combined 4-0 to continue their great start to the season. I'll tell you more about it later on Down to the Wire.
Welcome back to HHS In Depth.
Welcome back to Behind the Curtain. I'm Matthew Watton. We've had some amazing events going around at Homestead this past week for our performing arts. To begin, on December 9th, the dance team competed at Marion High School for their first competition of their season, with high scores in both categories, jazz and hip hop. Homestead led the way with both JV and varsity getting first place in hip hop. JV got second in jazz and varsity got first in jazz. Congratulations to the dance team on a great first competition of the season. The choral department had their annual winter concert on December 13th, performing classic Christmas tunes to get ready for the holidays. They performed songs like their annual rendition of Silent Night with soloist Elena Mattis, Carol of the Bells, Santa Tell Me with soloists Nevaeh Kopich and Natalia Nikolov, and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Just over a few doors, the orchestra also had their concert spreading some holiday cheer. Moving forward, the Winter Jazz Band had an amazing concert on December 7th. Some of the songs were This Christmas, All I Want for Christmas Is You, and Coventry Carol. Cy Romani, Will Osborne were some of the soloists. That's all for this week's edition of Behind the Curtain. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any scores, performances, auditions, or anything else that you'd like to see on the show, reach out through the email address shown here. For Behind the Curtain, I'm Matthew Wyatt. Sophia Morgan, back to you.
Sophia, for it being mid-December, we've had pretty mild temperatures.
Yeah, it's been nice, but I'm hoping for some snow on the ground. This weather the past week has been the type to make you leave your coat at home and then regret it later.
Luckily, Mara Nicholson is in the studio now and is ready to tell us what our final weekend and school week of semester 1 will be like outside.
Thanks, Morgan and Sophia. While this past week was feeling like spring with the sun peeking out of the clouds and mid-40 temps, it will heat up a little bit more this upcoming week. As I said before, today after school when you're walking outside, although originally expected to be around 48 degrees, it might feel warmer with the mostly sunny skies. Next week, we'll have more of the same temperatures in the 40s, but the sun will slowly start to become a little bit more scarce as we're now expecting a few more clouds. The only exception is on Monday when it will reach 39 degrees. I hope you like the clouds because they're sticking around all week, with the sun only slightly making an appearance. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday all raise the weather to low or mid 40s. Sorry for all of you dreaming for a white Christmas, because as of right now, it looks like it will be full of rain showers. I hope everyone has a happy holiday or just an enjoyable winter break. Morgan, Sophia, back to you.
Thanks for the weather report, Mara.
We're only 10 days away, and it sure looks like we won't be seeing a white Christmas this year.
You never know, Sophia.
We turn now to sports, and last weekend was a busy one for both the girls and the boys basketball teams.
To tell us how the teams did, here's this week's edition of Down to the Wire with host Carly Swimler. Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm Carly Swimler. The Homestead girls and boys basketball teams have gotten off to great starts this season. And last weekend specifically, they went 4 for 4 as both teams had back-to-back Friday to Saturday contests. We'll start with our girls basketball team. Last Friday, they went up against Bishop Dwenger. It was a no-doubter from the get-go as the Spartans enforced the running clock rule and went on to win a score of 60-24. That night, Maya Epps scored 19 points, Whitney Ankenbrook scored 16 points, and lastly, Gabby Helsum scored a total of 12 points. The next day, the girls were back in action and dominated again last Saturday over Toledo, Ohio's Notre Dame Academy with a final score of 64-36. Gabby Helsum set her career high with 31 points. Maya Epps chipped in with 11 points as well. Tonight, the girls will be taking on Bishop Luers at 6 p.m. in the Spartan Arena. We wish them the best of luck. And now, on to boys basketball. Last Friday, after the girls took care of business, the boys basketball team was up against Bishop Dwenger. The boys got rolling in the second quarter, getting up to a 10-point lead at halftime. They kept it rolling in the second half and ended up winning 62-48. Wyatt Weaver scored 18 points, and Owen Smith scored 9 points for the Spartans in the win. The next night, they were back at Spartan Arena for their home opener against New Haven. They won 59-49 against the New Haven Bulldogs. Alex Graber and Peyton Reinhart both scored 14 points, and Wyatt Weaver had 12. Congratulations to the boys on their win last week, and we wish them the best of luck tonight against Bishop Luers at Spartan Arena starting at 7:30. And finally, any girl interested in the track and field for the 2024 season should contact Coach Wiss for preseason and regular season information. You can contact Coach Wiss at the email address shown here. That concludes this week's edition of Down to the Wire. Thank you for watching. I'm Carly Swimler. Morgan, Sophia, back to you. Thank you, Carly, for the sports update. This has been HHS In Depth. Thank you for watching today.
Make sure to check our socials for updates on the HHS In Depth team and our upcoming projects.
Have a wonderful weekend, Homestead. Good luck on your finals next week, and we'll see you back here in January. For a final time, I'm Morgan Gillette.
And I'm Sophia Virgilio.